Welcome everyone to a session of IWIN, the Illinois Work-Based Learning Innovation Network. Today we're having a health science career exploration showcase. I don't know why I have November 2nd on there. Got to make that adjustment. I guess I'm going back in time, it looks like here. But yes, I will get that enabled. But we have 3 different communities here today who have piloted a career exploration event this year and have really had a lot of learnings from that and resources that they're going to share with you and kind of talk to you. I know one of them has piloted, or I guess not a pilot anymore because they did the event again, but many of them are thinking about what it looks like to do the event again. And so we'll very much share all those learnings with you. But to give a bit of context, we'd love to know who's here in the room. And for our communities, if there's questions top of mind for you when you're thinking about career exploration generally, or when you're thinking about work-based learning and health sciences, right? Anything that's on your mind, the communities here also do internships and job, like all kinds of other work-based learning experiences in health sciences. So please feel free to put those questions in the chat. I'm Heather Penzak. I'm with an organization, Education System Center. We work closely with communities across the state on all things college and career pathways. And I very much am in the work-based learning zone here, which is, my role facilitating this wonderful network. And so IWIN it's a bigger network. We're very much showcasing this health science career exploration piece today, but we talk a lot about all kinds of different high quality models when we think about work-based learning, especially those that are providing broader and more equitable access. What's really exciting today is you're going to hear some learnings and practices where these communities invited and encouraged families to attend these events as well, for them to be learning about those opportunities within health sciences. But it's really a lot about building connections. These 3 communities here, I've gotten connected to through IWIN, they've gotten connected to others through IWIN, and we've really just learned a lot from each other. And so it's great to highlight them here today. And career exploration, just want to flag here, when we're thinking about work-based learning, we very much do think of it as a continuum. So wanting to think through where we're bringing students along. So starting them within that career awareness, where they might be completing a survey or watching videos, but then moving them into career exploration, where we really now have an actual employer engagement. And so what you'll be hearing from in these examples here is where young people and family members were able to engage directly with industry professionals and really learn about those occupations in a way beyond taking a survey or watching videos. They can ask questions live, they can really grapple and learn and be hands-on with pieces in the health sciences profession. And then from here, moving young people and individuals generally into more intensive experiences like a team-based challenge, which is a project-based work-based learning experience that has industry mentorship, and into your more career development or apprenticeship experiences that are your internships. They're very hands-on, where people are showing up as workers basically within the space and developing skills and getting assessed and learning those pieces there. And so wanted to flag, we have one more upcoming IWIN session before the end here of 2022, which is wild to think that it's going to be 2023 very soon. But the Valleys region out in Aurora within Illinois, they are actually tomorrow, I'll be going out there, going to be doing an event where they're going to onboard and support their employer partners to be ready to host young people in their spaces, high school students, for internships and other work-based learning. And so they're really going to share their model and their resources and all their learnings from what they do tomorrow on December 14th. So the link to register is in there. And let me put in one more time, just the link to the presentation here to access any of these links. There is also an opportunity, just wanted to make you all aware again, there's still space to sign up for this. So the Work-Based Learning Alliance has partnered with IBM, and they're offering a virtual cybersecurity work-based learning opportunity. This would kick off in February of 2023 then, so coming up in the spring of this school year. And so students would go through the IBM skills build and earn badges, and then they'd have the opportunity to participate in a cybersecurity capstone project. There's 250 slots for that. We still have openings for it. I think we're about halfway there or so, but students would earn about $300 for completing that capstone project. So we did host an information session on this. The link to the recording and presentation is there. And I know we've had some folks join, so let me just put in this presentation link again. But you can register and express your interest in this. Hello at WBL Alliance down there as the email. There's no commitment to participate, but just for them to know that you're interested. and for them to make sure that you're getting the information as it's available to participate in this opportunity. But it's at no cost to schools. You would have your employer partner through IBM, so they would have mentors and all those folks already teed up for you. So you wouldn't have to go recruiting an employer partner, which I know can be one of the biggest lifts of implementing work-based learning. So that is very much here for you as you are interested. But I do want to go ahead and move us into our community showcase. I'm just looking to make sure, I think we might not have our one presenter yet. So Natalia, I might be turning to you as we wait for them to arrive. But I did want to give a bit of background here. And so background on the pilot is that supported by the Telegen Community Initiative, Ed Systems was able to provide grant funding to 3 different communities in Illinois. One of them kind of on the border with St. Louis, East St. Louis, so Illinois and a little bit not. But it really was encouraged for these communities to pilot the following. So looking at a 2-generation approach, thinking about, in health sciences, there are opportunities available now for adults who may have some certification or need to get certification. And so it was really meant in this experience to inspire both the student and their parents, guardians, other family members to really be thinking about current and future career opportunities. And you're going to hear all kinds of different ways that this was accomplished, excuse me, and also learnings that these communities had in order to do that. Also looking at within the Illinois Model Program of Study for Health Sciences, utilizing the research, the recommendations in there to really highlight regional pathways and health science occupations, excuse me. And so they're going to talk you through too how they develop those regional maps. But I'm going to stop talking because obviously I can't anymore. And Natalia, I'm going to get your slides up.
Okay. Well, while you do that, I can go ahead and introduce myself briefly. My name is Natalia Gallegos. I'm the Director of Engagement and Impact for the Rush Education and Career Hub. So the Rush Education and Career Hub is a part of Rush University Medical Center here in Chicago. We're a cradle to career pipeline. We work with pre-K through post-secondary education, focused on making sure that we're getting students prepared at an earlier age to think about STEM and healthcare careers, and providing them with opportunities, whether that's work-based learning, or earning industry recognized credentials, as well as gaining a stipend through their time here. So just a quick little intro about who we are and what we do. So Heather, you can go to the next slide. So we actually were reached out by Ed Systems, I want to say it was like last March or so, with the opportunity to explore having a health sciences career fair. We were excited about the opportunity. Reach and Rush has formally done this in the past. We actually hosted STEM and family nights here on the Rush campus prior to the pandemic, and actually prior to our relaunch of who we are today, which is Reach. So it was kind of a nice push to get us to think about how we can bring some of those fairs back, and ways for us to engage with school partners and our students in our community. So this was kind of a great opportunity to kind of launch us into that. So we did host a health sciences career fair in May of 2022. And I apologize, I'm actually having some, can you hear me okay, guys? Heather?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, perfect. I think it was just my monitors. So yes, so we launched our event in May of 2022. We actually, the reason why we were kind of the first to do it, just because we had a strict timeline to get it to happen. We launched a summer program with 180 students over the summer. So our goal was to try to get this event done before the end of the actual academic year. So we went for May and did it in kind of a short time span. So I'll talk about that in a little bit, but we had over 300 students though in total attend the event. We actually broke up the event into 2 separate sessions that were roughly about 90 minutes for middle school and high school students. So I think that was kind of the best way. We wanted to see how much we can engage students, and that was kind of the best method for us at the time. So we partnered directly with Chicago Public Schools, specifically the CTE programs and work-based learning teams. So they actually did a lot of the marketing and recruitment efforts to get the message out for this event. We created some registration forms, but we actively had them helping us out through this. So in all, we had about 4 middle schools and 9 high schools attend. So overall, it was a great, event. We did like a rotation model for this event. So we actually invited vendors and partner organizations to assist us. So you could see all our partners here, school-based health centers, which are a part of Rush University, Project Exploration, Future Founders, and Next Wave STEM. We also had some of our staff actually come up with some activities that were kind of youth and middle school and high school friendly. So that was another opportunity for us as staff to engage with the students. But ultimately the remodel did work. We had students rotate. We gave them postcards with their school name and kind of like a little passport. So it was a great event. I think students definitely were engaged with the different activities that we did have. And then we also had a career panel in one of our separate rooms, which allowed for students to kind of engage with healthcare professionals. That panel ranged. We wanted to make sure that students could envision themselves in different career paths. So we had students that were currently in school, students that were exiting school, new healthcare professionals, and healthcare professionals that had been in the field for like over 30 years. So it was a nice wide range of professionals overall. So successful event in all. Go to the next slide. So some insights, best practices, and resources that I think are super important. I think what we learned is that we need to have a theme. There needs to be kind of some theme around what the work that we're going to be doing and how do we present the different types of activities that we're going to be hosting. I think what was also great was getting feedback. So we actually did a mini survey that we put on the back of the postcard. The survey was an opportunity for students to provide their feedback, for the staff to provide feedback, and school partners. We also did a lot of recruitment. So I think that was recruitment support that we were able to get. And I think what was also innovating was like actually getting the funding behind this to kind of get us thinking about future events. So budgeting for future events. So that was insightful as well. And then I think the last thing was just continuing to host this. As I mentioned, this is something that we've done in previous years. And I think this kind of just pushed us to bring this back into kind of our realm of what we do for our students. Some of the best practices that I would say would be making sure that we develop that concrete timeline and making sure that we understand kind of the depth of what it takes to put this event together. So I think we would have loved to have a little bit more time, but we were pressed against our summer programming. I think the other thing is making sure that you're securing local districts and community-based partners to work with you. Their support goes a long way. So they can help you with recruitment and marketing, as well as getting students to attend the event. And then another best practices was like securing those activities and vendors that were appropriate for the age groups that we were hosting. So we were excited to be able to have a variety of different activities based on who we were having coming through the door. So, and then I just actually wanted to share some resources. I know Heather said, put the link in the chat. So these are just some of the things that we created and that we wanted to share out. We did like a timeline and agenda and then a layout. I do want to note that we didn't host the event here at Rush. We still have guidelines in regards to visitors. So we actually hosted our event at Malcolm X, which is down the street from where we are. So that was one thing I'll mention in the challenges. But then I also included here some additional flyers, our passport examples, and then some of our infographics that we do have. So Reach does have a career pathway tool. That was one of our initiatives of like making sure that we shared that out. We also shared the health sciences tool that was created by Ed Systems and Malcolm X as well, so that we gave some context to like the importance of and the career path for these students as well. So lessons learned. I think there were a few lessons learned for us, along with some challenges that we didn't need to overcome. I think lessons learned is that we had a great turnout. Students and parents and schools really enjoyed this. They actually reached out to us and asked if we could like pencil in the next academic year and when we were going to do this again. So that was insightful and great to hear. I think it was also an opportunity, because we've been in the pandemic, it was an opportunity for our staff to really engage with students and new and old partners. So we were able to partner with schools that we normally don't partner with, and also bring in schools that we have had past relationships with. So that was a great opportunity to make those connections. And that gets me to my third point. So building those stronger connections with our community organizations and school partners. I mentioned already receiving feedback, which was super helpful for planning in the future. And then of course, the need for us to continue to host this again, which I've said a couple of times, but I think that was a big thing that we learned. Some of the challenges though, I think is probably something that other groups may have faced. I think the biggest thing for us was the timeline, making sure that we have enough time to plan and time to execute the event. And also working more with our school partners and organizations to find a time that kind of works a little bit best for everybody. We tried to get this event, like I said, in before our summer programming started. So it was kind of like a, who can attend, we'll attend, and we'll go from there. So we didn't really discuss the date outside of that. So the other thing that was a challenge was also transportation. So because there was a short turnaround time, we supported funding transportation for our partner schools, which actually the funds from this grant did help support us in getting students to the event itself. There's a short turnaround time for CPS to not only execute field trip permission forms, but also execute ordering of buses. So we decided to cover that lift and getting the buses taken care of. So that was also a tricky challenge, because we were coordinating buses to pick up students and drop off students and get them to Malcolm X and back and forth. And, you know, you never know with that. So that was a little bit of a challenge. And then I think the other thing was location and space. So at Rush, we unfortunately don't have large enough spaces to hold, 300 plus people and involve activities as well. And we also still had a very restrictive visitor policy. So we had to kind of think about what ways that we can support this type of event and have it be something that is like large enough for people to feel comfortable in moving around and comfortable being in a space together. So we actually, like I said, looked at one of our partners, which was Malcolm X, and said, hey, can we host the event there? They were very open. They have some large conference rooms and an auditorium. So getting through and getting the students there was easy. Also getting the opportunity to have them move around freely was also very easy. So definitely something that we'll continue to keep in mind as we need space. And then the last challenge, as we all know, and as a healthcare facility, is always top of mind for us, but hosting an event of this size during an actual active pandemic. So it was a lift. It was a huge lift, but we were super excited to be able to do it. And I think we definitely learned some things from that. So, and as we move out of the pandemic and move out of, where we've been the past couple of years, I think it's been nice to see the excitement and engagement from students and bringing us all back together. So, yeah. So next steps for us is that we actually hosted another event. We actually just finished off last week hosting our second annual Health and STEM Fair, what we've kind of rebranded and named it. We couldn't wait another academic year to do it. So we actually, at the beginning of this academic year, started working with those CTE, work-based learning teams for CPS, and said, hey, we want to put some type of event together again. When can we do it? Getting more of their impact and feedback. And so we went for last Friday. And so we had another successful event with over 300 students. We actually also formatted the event a little bit differently. We, instead of doing middle school and high school students, we decided to do middle school and intermediate students. So we did 3rd through 5th graders and 6th through 8th graders, so that we could focus on kind of some more exploration and STEM activities. So you can see here, there's a bunch of new things that we had incorporated this year. We also decided not to have our staff create activities, but have more vendors participate and come. So we had a bunch of different others. So we actually had Versity, which does blood work and transfusion. We had MSI of it there as well. We had Project Exploration again, and Next Wave STEM. We had actually some scientists who work with some of our partners here at Rush come out and do some activities, and they do some side work. So like Mr. Freeze, it was doing an activity. We also gained more space. So instead of having 2 conference rooms, we asked for all the conference rooms at Malcolm X so that we can have more space to move around. So overall, a great event. We went from maybe 20 vendors to over like 30, 40 vendors this time around. So definitely more, and more opportunity for students to kind of engage with different types of activities. So we are excited to do another event in the spring, which will focus on high school and making sure that students are aware of opportunities for summer programming. Also to thinking about career placement and job opportunities. So making it more of like an exploration hiring event. And that way we can focus a little bit more on kind of what they're doing next in terms of education or career. So we're looking forward to that to happen again in the spring of next year. So overall, exciting opportunity. Thank you to Ed Systems again for all your hard work and even just guiding us through this entire process. But we look forward to kind of just having this as a staple of what we do, and a year after year event for Reach. So I added some of my contact information in there too. Feel free to reach out, follow us. We have some great programming, and look forward to connecting with you all. But thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think one of the pieces I was struck by at the event last May, gosh, it's wild, it was May already, but like there was that IT STEM component. Like there was a table with a computer and breaking down and putting together a computer. And, you know, there's so many things that go into the health sciences. And that's why these opportunities are so meaningful for students, because, you know, they might be thinking nurse or some of those pieces they tend to associate with health science. And they go here and they're like, oh, if I'm interested in computers and I'm interested in health sciences, like I have a role to play in this field, right? I don't have to like do one or the other. Like I can combine.
Correct.
This here.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to save time at the end too for questions, but if there's any kind of immediate questions here, we can take those now. Or I know, Donnie, just check in with you if you're also okay to stay and present for a little bit. I know you were going to head out about 4. I think I have Donnie on here still. Oh, maybe not. I think they had to leave at 4. Oh, no, they're there. See them. Any questions though for Natalia before we move to our next community? And please feel free to put those in the chat as well if you're thinking of any pieces. And then Donnie, do I have you on audio to present? Oh, why am I'm gonna do unmute people. That's a weird setting today. Sorry about that.
Am I unmuted?
Yes, you are.
So sorry for, had I stayed in my car in the cold so I can be to the next meeting, I would have been fine. But as soon as I got in this building, the Wi-Fi died.
Oh,
So then,
no.
so then
The
we had to
joy
try and get
sometimes.
me on Wi-Fi and I couldn't get in. So woe unto me.
No,
Sorry.
it's the joys of virtual and in person now and going back and forth. So we're thankful to have you, Donnie.
Mhm. So thank you. Heather, I'm just going to start off and say thank you for presenting this opportunity to us, the Greater Joliet Area YMCA. It gave us a great opportunity to reach out to the community because we find that in the school systems, a lot of the schools with the students are starting very early with career aspiration. However, our event, we did target for high school and young adults or anyone in our community that may be changing jobs, looking for a new path. We know that in the job market, layoffs, older workers are even looking for new careers or having to change direction. So we open our event up to the community for the most part. As I said, it was our first time. This is the first time we ran. We hosted this event. We had the partnership with 2 hospitals, Silver Cross in Edwards, Joliet Junior College. Oh, something happened with my computer there. I'm sorry. Joliet Junior College, Wilco Career Center, and of course, Workforce Development. At the start, is asked, why did we choose to do this? We wanted to be able to provide to the students. We have a program called Teen Achievers that's in 9 different high schools. And we want to provide those students and students attending those high schools this information to look at livable wage jobs in the healthcare field. And we wanted to take a very unique approach to it to maybe make it a little more engaging. So the 2 students were our target enrollment and just the community at large. We did reach out to get this information out in the community. We went through a social media platform for presenting this, promoting this, as well as local churches to let them know that we have it so they can put it on their information or any community organization. We have an organization here in Joliet called Joliet Alliance for Youth. So we relied on them to get the information out. And of course, all of our partners shared with their on their social media platform. With this event, we wanted to have real life brochures, if you can think of it that way. I can give you some information on what it takes to be a CNA, but how much more effective would it be if I had an actual CNA there to talk with the students? So we had about 20 different representatives from different career paths that the student was able to really engage with, have conversation. What are the ups and downs? What are some of the challenges? What do they like about that? And even with the feedback from those individual representing the jobs, they were impressed with how they had to steer. One case in point was we had one that was doing pharmaceutical sales. And if you're someone interested in healthcare, you don't even associate sales with what you're looking to do. So this pharmaceutical sales, when she broke down what she does with her job and how she interacts with nurses and doctors, and she said their eyes just went up like, oh, I can do that. So it was really good to see and hear those types of stories that were shared. So that was a good part. Forgive me for rushing. We talked about it, recruitment, providing information. Oh, one of the things we did too for this, we found that it was very important that we can connect with the community. We talked about that, social media. Heather, I got this. Okay, I got this box that keeps popping up in front of me. So I talked about when you say highlights from the experience. It was a first. I was surprised at the number of adults that came out. even though that was our target, we didn't know it was happening, but we had quite a few adults to come out for this event. It was so important for us to use the social media. We had to pay paid advertising on all, I think, like TikTok, Facebook, and there was one other, so forgive me, I don't recall that one. But I relied on my marketing team to get that out. And it was important too, once we did had the flyers, that we had to send them out once, and then we sent them out again as a reminder. That was so crucial. Follow the outline for workshop. Follow the outline workshop to host. One thing that I would highlight, we had to make sure the registration is very simple, because we do want people to let us know that they're coming. I think we used a Google Doc for that, using a QR code right from our flyer. People were able to go in and put the information, let us know they were coming. Additionally, we didn't think about it first on, but as the registration wasn't coming in as fast, we went back out there and offered some type of enticement. The early registrations would be entered into a drawing for a $50 gift card. So I think that helps. I will use that concept in the future just to get the registrations coming in, so we know just how many to plan for. The best practice we had, this was a community project. Our engaging the partnerships that we have already with JJC, Joliet Junior College have several certification programs, so it was a great opportunity for them to showcase what the students have right here in our community. The planning phase was a big thing. You can conceptualize it in your mind, but when we have those meetings and we talk things through, you can almost see, someone would say, well, they can push back and challenge you on it, or come up with a better way of doing things. So that was really crucial for me, because we may have plans to do something one way, and just when we start talking it through, we'll come to terms with a better way of presenting it. So that was good. And yet, I think it's important too, is to be very realistic with your agenda. We learned the hard way. We set the agenda giving, I think 15 minutes to JJC, and it turned out to be 40 minutes for JJC, because like I said, they had so many programs, and once they start talking and people start asking questions, and they was really interested in hearing what's right here in their community. So I'll be very realistic with an agenda item and give it enough time, because they have the tours. Think of that too. We did some tours for the students, and that's another way of jogging the minds and getting kids excited about a process. So I have to be very careful for that. I told you about my gift cards. I'm not beyond bribing, so that worked. I wouldn't need to get the flyers out sooner. We dragged our feet a little bit, but we still was able to get it out there and get it out to multiple places for people to see. I talked about using the QR code. That was huge. I think another best practice was having all those different people to represent the jobs that we were showing. And showing that those jobs have, you have short-term certification programs right there you can go through and then be led into a career path. Just the connection with Silver Cross, Edwards, JJC, Wilco. Wilco Career Center is an organization here in Joliet that promotes trades and certification type jobs, and they work with the schools, certain school districts here that would bus their kids. So I would look to continue to engage them if I should do that again, because if we get to the point, they can almost help us get busing, because I think the transportation is with a lot of things we do is a challenge. Resources. We're very actively, I was really happy that we got 20+ people to be there to serve as those human brochures. But that was a good resource. And that came from knowing someone at Silver Cross, JJC, our community saying, you know what, I have a friend that can do it. And they came out and worked with us for the event. For jobs in the healthcare field. Okay. And then finally, lessons learned. We had great partnerships with the organization that participated in this workshop. Key takeaway, timely follow-up. You know, you have, everyone has so much on their plate. This being a new event, if you have to be really on them to have them give you a response so you can plan accordingly. Challenges that we should have got the flyer out sooner. And of course, the offering of the incentive. We also did incentive throughout the night to keep the kids there. So it was just an 1.5-hour event. So every half hour we were doing some type of drawing. So those students that came had pre-registered. When they entered the building, they were given a ticket, thanking them for registering. And then they got a ticket again for just coming. So they had an opportunity twice to win a $50 gift card. One of my challenges, and I use salary.com. I didn't want to put it in here because I don't know how reliable it is, but I thought it was a good starting point for the first one. But I like to be really more realistic with the salary and training information. But given the time period that we had, I had to rely on salary.com to get that information. And then, but the nice thing is they will let you put it by state. So I was able to narrow it down to Illinois. And as you know, salaries in Northern Illinois is a lot different from that. That may be in Southern Illinois. So if I do it, I would probably do it more realistically for right here in Will County, just to give the kids a sense of, or the participant, I should call them kids, participants, a true sense of what that job requirements are and what the potential for earnings are. Next step, we would definitely like to offer this workshop again. However, we would need to get the flyer out sooner. Identify key individuals in various schools that would be willing to share the information. What I find with the school system, they have a platform for, they would post the information, but when dealing with students, unless you have someone champion your event that they're in the schools having a conversation, they're not visiting that platform for seeing what's out there. So I would look to identify someone such as the person at Wilco Career Center. She has students coming from different schools. She can really promote it with the students and get them talking about it. Look to stay in touch with the organization we partnered with. I think it was a good experience for them as well. And it's a great opportunity for them to showcase their organization in the school, JJC. And then also, I think we can get more information out to more community groups like homeowners association. We have a lot of neighborhood, like we have an East Side Neighborhood Coalition. Get that information to them. Again, just want people talking about the workshop that's being made available to the community. And the balance of it is my information, Donnie Chestnut, Mission Advancement Director here at the Greater Joliet Area YMCA. And I apologize, but I'm gonna have to jump off. I hope I wasn't talking too fast.
You were fabulous, Donnie. We appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate all your support and guiding us through this process, and we hope to do it again.
Thank you so much, Donnie. And if folks have questions, feel free to put them in the chat or connect with Donnie. They've got their information right there for you. But it really was awesome. I mean, you heard both like Chicago and then this area hosted it at their community college. And what was fun to see is as we were setting up at Joliet, and I think you all got there about 4 o'clock or so before the event started at 6, there were, community college students were walking by and they're like, well, what's going on over here? Great representation from students and industry, like current Joliet students at Joliet Junior College, and then industry folks. And I went on the tour of the nursing department, which literally looks like a hospital. It was awesome.
Okay. Well, thank
Thanks,
you.
Donnie.
And I apologize, I can't hear the rest of the presentations, but it's a final board meeting for our chamber here this year. So.
All right, we'll have fun. And we know where to find you. We got your contact info here.
Okay, thank you. Enjoy.
Thanks,
Have
Donnie.
a safe holiday, guys.
You as well. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And if you do have questions for Donnie, they do have their info here, but please feel free to put that in the chat too, and I can make sure that Donnie gets those. But I'm going to turn to our final showcase presenter here, our team out of St. Louis. And, we've been working with the District 189 in East St. Louis, and so we're always, Jennifer and I have been connected for years now on multiple things, but this was a very, very exciting opportunity. So I'll turn to you all to kick it off and close our session here.
All righty. Thank you, Heather. We really appreciate this opportunity to share. And of course, thank you for involving us and allowing us to have this event by also helping us get connected to grant funding. So I'm Jennifer Irvin with BJC Healthcare, school community health educator. And we're going to be talking about our health science career exploration event that we held at Barnes Jewish Hospital in St. Louis. I am fortunate enough to have 2 fabulous presenters that'll be joining me in a little bit that actually were key. I mean, they were the key to making this an overall success. So I'm going to cover the first 2 slides, and then Matt and Susan will cover the remaining slides. But with our event, just to give a general overview, Heather and I connected and we started talking. She mentioned the fact that she had access to some grant funds. I tell you what, I was trying to think about in putting the event together. I wanted to think about those hard to fill areas, because we know students know about a doctor, they know about a nurse, but there are those hidden jewel careers where you can get in entry level and you can grow your career. And the first thing that popped into my mind was a partner that I'm always able to reach out to within our organization, Barnes Jewish Hospital Radiology. And so I called that team and said, this is what we are being able to do. We have a partner that's willing to give us some funding, and what can we do? And from there, I tell you what, radiology took the handle and it just blossomed. And so we had a series of, I don't know how many meetings we had. We met for over 11 months in pulling all of the details together. But I think that I know that was integral in the overall success. So what you see here is after 11 months of planning and our actual day of the event, the photo at the top, you can see we started it out with a bang. We had poppers for the first time. We've never had poppers that I'm aware of unleash poppers in our lobby to welcome students in for a career event. We partnered with School District 189, so that was very, very helpful for us in terms of having that assigned school partnership to be able to get their students to us, and with the funding was able to get buses to actually bring those students to enjoy the event. But they also brought some parents with them as well. Again, we had over 100 guests that attended. Then I think the other thing that I want to mention before I defer to Susan and Matt is that when you think about an event of this magnitude, not knowing what to expect, I'll admit on the day of, even though we had those buses and everything lined up, I got a little nervous, and I'm like ready and wondering if people were going to show. They showed up, and our Barnes Jewish Hospital radiology team showed out. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Matt and Susan to take us further into our career event and talk about some of the outcomes, etc. So there you go.
So we hosted an event over the weekend on a Saturday. This allowed us to open up some space in the hospital and invite these students and family members in with having the least amount of impact to our ability to care for patients. So we felt that that worked really well. We were able to secure some conference room areas, invite our schools, school partners, education partners in, as well as other clinical teams like from pharmacy, respiratory therapy. We also had lab and radiology. So I think what worked well was doing it on the weekend, so we could freely have a little bit more freedom to walk around the hospital and showcase radiology to our guests. It also made getting volunteers a little bit easier. We weren't interfering with their work days, and they were willing to come in on a Saturday for a few hours and show off what they're passionate about. For registration, we had a QR code that we were passing out to the students. That seemed to work really well. And then, of course, Heather and Jennifer keeping the best notes possible throughout all of our meetings and keeping us on track for the event. So for best practices, we definitely had flyers and handouts to give to our visitors as far as that had specific information on radiology and how they can enter a career in radiology and then grow in a career in radiology. And we also had our clinical affiliates on site. So we had St. Louis Community College and Southwest Illinois College in the building with us, with representatives that were able to speak directly to the students and their parents about how they could pursue a career in radiology through their education programs. And then the other really exciting thing that we were able to accomplish was actually providing tours for our visitors through multiple modalities in radiology. So we were able to walk them through and see an actual room where radiographs are produced, where patients actually come and receive imaging. We were able to show them an actual CT scanner. They were able to visit nuclear medicine, and they were able to see a procedure suite and interventional radiology and have a really good visual and idea of what a career in radiology would look like, as well as some of the opportunities once you get into the career field to develop and grow and pursue things that you're passionate about. And then lastly, go ahead. The other employees from respiratory therapy and pharmacy and lab, they were able to set up interactive stations in our meeting area in the conference rooms. And so, respiratory had like a little lung display, and they were hooking it up to the machines and making the lungs grow and expand. And pharmacy had kind of like a station where you could mix and smash things, pills and stuff, and make compounds and whatnot. So we really felt that having interactive hands-on things for the students and their parents to do was essential to the success of this event. Okay, go ahead. So for resources, one thing, you want to make sure you have enough members and staff to cover everything. We were handling 3 tours at a time, so there was like 9 volunteers from radiology to help rotate members through and guide and direct those tours. And then we also wanted to make sure we had people available for more information about entry-level jobs, how to get into an entry-level job. And then once you're in a position, some of the benefits that Barnes Jewish or BJC has to offer as far as tuition reimbursement. So we had partners from HR and our Institute for Learning and Development there with us that day. They were able to share current open positions for some of the generational like parents that were around that were looking for jobs, like right now, today, can I apply? And then they were also able to encourage interested students to come back and have additional shadowing experiences. And Jennifer is an integral part of that offering that we can do for high school students interested in healthcare careers. We also have a mentorship charter for interested students. And we also took an opportunity to connect with some of the leaders from the District 189 school district to let them know that our doors are wide open for you and your students to come and explore healthcare career fields. We are more than happy to take our show on the road and bring it to your high school and speak to your students and try to get them excited about healthcare. Okay, next slide. Some lessons learned. Susan, are you on the call? You want to?
Hey, you're doing a great job, Matt. You can keep talking, it's fine.
Okay, all right. All right, so some of our lessons learned from this event, we definitely felt as though having interactive stations has kept our visitors engaged, kept them interested, got them excited about career opportunities, and it definitely gave them a visual of like, hey, what goes on in these places, in these career fields that maybe you don't get to see every day. So that was very a positive lesson learned. We also felt that allowing our visitors to walk through the hospital and see what it is that we do, where we do it, and how we do it was also very valuable. And I don't think there was a single visitor that didn't sign up or try to get on one of those tours. So having the ability to showcase your actual work environments, I felt was very positive. I think one lesson learned too, we had a 3-hour window there towards the tail end of it. We were kind of running out of ways to engage our visitors, so it kind of tailed off into just kind of lunch and then getting back on the buses to head back over to Illinois. And there was definitely a high level of interest in the current entry-level jobs that were available now. So some of the challenges, Rush talked about it as well. Having an event space that flows well certainly is a challenge, especially in an active pandemic. But we were able to get some adjacent spaces and allow people to set up. But that is a challenge, especially if you're looking to the future, if you want to repeat this and you want it to grow. And then signage, making sure that if you have multiple points of entry into your space or organization, that you have appropriate, clear, visible signage for visitors to know exactly where they're headed to. Another challenge that we faced was 100 visitors coming through the door right at once. So getting everybody signed up, registered, all that good stuff. They pre-registered with a QR code beforehand, but we still wanted to keep a tally on who actually showed up. So that way we were able to follow up with them afterwards. That was kind of a tedious process. It took a little bit longer than expected. So all hands on deck for that next time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the tours offered a little bit of a challenge. It could be a little chaotic when you have 100 people walk through the door and you're like, hey, we can all go check out the hospital. They all want to go at once. So definitely having a plan, a solid plan in place for giving a tour and touring hundreds of people through your hospital is definitely a challenge. Next slide. So steps and staying connected, definitely looking forward to repeating this event, hopefully annually in partnership here with Heather and Iwin. The goal is to expand it and get more schools involved and definitely reflect on some of the things that you all are doing and see how we can incorporate some of those ideas and make our event better in the future.
Mhm.
And Jennifer, do you have anything else that you'd like to add?
I'd just like to add too, we didn't capture a lot in our follow-up, but in terms of our report out, but one of the great things that we were able to see as a result of this event, we were able to directly capture people that followed up. So out of this, we had folks that were there at the event, some of the parents that came and they were interested in the careers. And so they interviewed and we were able to get a couple of new hires out of the event. But we've also had the schools that are calling in. You know, students didn't know about radiology. Now we know that District 189 wants our radiology team to come in and talk with their students. So we're in the middle of scheduling that, as well as Matt mentioned, already looking at how we can repeat this event. And this has to continue on because there's people asking about it, how we can repeat it and make it even better, you know, expand it. So I think all in all, it was very, very successful. And in terms of best practices, what I would recommend, what I would say is that planning time, I think, worked really in our favor because we didn't invite other folks to the table until we, the core planning committee, felt like we had an outline and kind of knew the direction we wanted to go into. And then at that point, we start pulling in other departments, other clinical areas that Matt named. We start pulling in our other academic partners. And then it was a lot easier to continue with scripting out what we would like to see for the day. So that would be my thing, to get your plans in place and then bring your partners to the table.
I appreciate you all so much for sharing. Had a great trip there, and we were part of that wild registration table, but you know, we got it done. It was good. I went on the radiology tour. I was like, career change? I don't know. Pretty cool in here, but it was super interactive. I mean, there was the one department, and you will know it better than I do, where they were engaging with like what kind of material that they had to like monitor their like exposure to each day. And it was really cool. I mean, the students were very much engaged in it. And to Jennifer's point in the chat, there were, you know, students who were also giving the tours as well as those professionals. And so you really could, as an individual, see the path of this and what it looks like at different points along the path. And it was wonderful. And the poppers were, you know,
and so
started off with a bang.
literally
started and ended with a bang. Yay. So we have our contact information on our slide, so feel free to reach out. I know that, you know, one of the things too, when you're planning an event like this, I think for me anyway, and the radiology team can attest to this, I think that once you find teams that are willing to support the work and are willing to get in and get involved in the work, it makes it a lot better. So Matt mentioned my role in shadowing. Anytime I have a student that wants to shadow in radiology, who do you think I call? I call Susan, or it comes my way. I do what I need to do from a logistical standpoint, and then it rolls over to Susan. Then it comes back to Matt and the team if that student really wants to take the next step and become an employee. And so we've had a couple of those very, very good connections. And we're really beginning to see how, when you think about pipeline and all of the things that can come about as a result of these kinds of events, that that connectivity and follow-up is very, very important. So.
Well, thank you to all of our communities here again. I'm excited to have this like recorded, and we've got a bunch of templates and resources and all kind of fun things. I know the communities themselves have wanted all these from one another, and now we can share it across the whole state and even further, right? But you really did see different examples here of hosting it at the community college, hosting it at the hospital, thinking about different times of day and what day and all those pieces. And, you know, I think my takeaway from this is I don't think there's a perfect timing to do this, but there is like a preferred one, right? Like no one time is always going to work for everybody, but you can do the best you can to engage your stakeholders, as Jennifer just spoke to, as everybody else spoke to, right? How you have your different partners at the table and education and your hospital partner, then you can really start to grapple with like, when do folks tend to show up most and who shows up at what time? And we're trying to get families there and students. What does that look like? But I do want to share this too with you all. We've taken, I know there was a question in the chat about what other work-based learning opportunities Barnes-Jewish Hospital offers. And so their career development experience or their internship model is linked in here with some information, but we've captured these different career exploration experiences also on models, but Each region also has an example of further experiences on the continuum, moving into that career development experience, but they do even so much more than that, but have these here for you all as they're helpful as you're thinking about designing something new or enhancing something you currently have and what it looks like to implement that. But as always, I'll be sending out the recording and materials from today shortly. Would love to know if you have, a model you'd like to present about, if there's someone you'd like to recommend. Doing a scope to get our kind of winter and spring session schedule here so I can get out in advance to you all some different dates and times and topics to engage in through IWIN. But thank you all again for joining.